Hey everyone, I'm doing this live video because I'm doing a long Twitter thread about the deep front line from Tom Myers, Anatomy Trains. It's very helpful for a particular thread I'm writing about how to find it and what it is and what muscles are involved and everything like that. So this is for that. If you do want to watch that, just find me on Twitter at Stuart Alsop III, and I can send you the thread. Again, that's at Stuart Alsop III. Today, what I'm going to be sharing, I learned from Robin Guth at Stress Management Center of Marin. It's how to find the domes of the joint as you're standing. It's a really great way to find some stability in the body as we walk around and as we stand. So if you're watching this and you want to try it, go ahead and come to a comfortable standing position on your 2 feet. And we'll just kind of shift the weight forwards and backwards as we try to find a balance, trying to experiment with what happens when we move the weight forwards in the feet and then backwards in the feet. So finding that balance in between forwards and backwards and just kind of experimenting with what it feels like to shift the weight back and forth. And then coming to that midpoint. And then suctioning the toes down, so feeling as if you're clawing the earth with your toes. Feel the arch of the foot. The arch of the foot is the first dome that we want to find. So finding that arch of the foot and maybe moving your feet around so you really feel that arch of the feet and finding the feet directly below the hips. So that's the first dome, the arch of the foot. And notice how the back of the arch of the foot kind of merges into the ankle. The ankle and the arch of the foot serve as that first dome. And you've got 2 of them. You've got one on the right foot, one on the left foot. And now we'll find the second dome. That second dome is the knees. So go ahead and bending the knees up and down, or bending the knees and feeling that kind of bouncing motion, maintaining that kind of climb of the feet into the earth, finding that arch, lifting the arch, and then finding the bounce, noticing the 2 domes of the knee as well. So we got our domes in the ankles, we got our domes in the knees, and now we got the dome of the pelvis. So this is just one dome at the pelvic floor. I go in more into where the pelvic floor is on the Twitter thread, but just noticing that dome. Seeing in the same way as you bounce up and down in the knees, feeling if you can find that same sort of strength in the pelvic floor as well. Pelvic floor is the group of muscles in between the sexual organs and the anus. Most people don't know about it unless they've been pregnant and have had a training in that, or they know a lot about anatomy. And so finding that dome in the pelvic floor as well. Now this next dome is going to be pretty interesting as well. It's the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is like the opposite of the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor and the diaphragm basically squish the internal organs and they both move as we breathe. So taking a big inhale, noticing on the inhale as the diaphragm descends into the lower belly. And then exhale, notice as the diaphragm comes up. So that's the other dome. So now start bouncing up again. Feel all the domes. Feel the domes in the ankle, feel the domes in the knees, feel the domes in the hips, and now feel the domes in the diaphragm as well. Noticing that diaphragm, most people think of it only as a muscle of breathing, but it's also a muscle of postural stability. So bouncing up and down, finding that dome in the pelvic floor and the diaphragm. And now the diaphragm, that's the bottom of the thorax, this part where we've got the ribs and everything like that. So now we're going to find the next dome, which is at the base of the throat where the skull meets the head. It's actually all wrapped up in the tongue and it implicates the whole face and the head. And so we'll bounce up and down again, finding the domes in the bottom of in the ankles, finding it in the knees, finding it in the pelvic floor, finding the diaphragm, and now finding it in the throat. Just bounce up and down, feeling that bounce in the throat. Noticing the tongue itself is a very, very sensitive muscle of postural stability. Anything down these lines can kind of, if there's a miscommunication, misalignment in the spine or anything else, it can all affect it. Our bodies are incredibly sensitive. So just bouncing up and down and finding that dome in the back of the neck and the front of the spine really deep in. That's where that dome is. And it connects into the chin and the roof of the mouth and the bottom of the mouth. And so just feeling that. And I'll give a little extra here for those of you who kept on watching. Now we'll do the maybe what some might consider kind of spiritual, but a lot of people view this part of the head as a connection with the divine. The fontanelle, it's the part that's really open in babies and then closes and solidifies as adults. Maybe you should consider that as the dome to heaven. So that's another dome. Dome on the feet are your domes to the ground. One way I've found of kind of a cool way of thinking about it is to be grounded, but at the same time open to the universe, because we're not really different from the universe as well. So hopefully that you enjoyed that. And if you want to check out that Twitter thread, which goes in depth into all the different muscles of the deep front line and these domes and everything like that, just find me at Stuart Alsop, III on Twitter, and I can send me a DM and I can send you the full thread. Have a great day.